Okay, here I am getting to the end of my thread. I would usually take a few more stitches and use a little bit more of this, but I'm going to leave it a little bit longer to make this easier to show you. So I've come up through the binding. I'm going to make one little stitch. I'm going to come down right where I came up and come right back up into that stitch again, just to kind of make a nice tight little stitch there, so my thread doesn't get loose while I tie this knot. I'm going to go down one more time in that same spot and come up underneath the binding here. I'm going to go through that stitching from when I stitched down the binding, making sure that I have not come out the front, and just pull it through. Make sure that is nice and tight. There's a little bit of thread there, but that's alright. We'll make sure that's nice and tight. And then I'm just going to knot it off. And once that's knotted, I'll get another new longer piece of thread. I'll come back through here and just start up again and continue on stitching. I'm coming to the final corner, and I'm going to show you how I do the corner, and then I'll finish the stitching and we will knot this off. I have the binding pulled straight, so we have a nice tight edge on the top. I'm going to actually stitch all the way past the stitching where from the front, and then I'm going to take one stitch back, and I'm going to put it about 1/4 of an inch from that line that I stitched on the front, again just catching the binding. And then I am going to pull this binding back down and get a nice mitered corner right there, and I'm going to kind of mess with the fabric a little bit so I get a nice point there. And what I'm going to do is come up from under the binding. I'm going to catch the binding that I've already stitched down here. I'm going to catch that little corner. I'm going to do that twice just to make sure I have it. And then I'm going to just continue on stitching the next side. I'm going to finish this up quick. Remember, I started pretty close to this end so that when I turned that final corner I wouldn't have to stitch very far to finish it off. Again, just keeping that binding pulled tight. We're just going to stitch right down where we came up, catch that binding. You want your stitches about 1/4 of an inch apart. You have to be careful because you're close to the end now and the stitching speeds up. I tend to get my stitches a little bit longer here because I want to finish, and I've turned that last corner. I'm going to stitch all the way to where I started. Once we get there, I take just one back stitch. There we go, I got right. Okay, I'm going to just go ahead and go back down where I first came up, go backwards, one stitch. That just kind of keeps the thread from pulling out. I'm going to do one more little stitch there. Then I'm going to do a quilter's knot. Once that's knotted, I'm going to come pull it out here and hide my knot, hide my thread, and we are done. I hope you enjoyed that tutorial. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments and go practice your hand binding. You have a finished quilt. Happy stitching!